Hello everybody and welcome to my first NHL 20 franchise mode video. I'm going to be doing a 30-second team expansion with Seattle as the city, specifically the Seattle Dragons with a team name. You can kind of see the uniforms there in the background. I realize we're not going to actually see the uniforms much in a sim, but give you a little point of reference for theater of the mind or whatever. Um, I'll also be, well, now we'll take a quick look at the minor league team as well, the Tacoma Tigers. This one I kind of borrowed a little bit from the early Lemieux era Penguins. A lot of yellow, almost too much so. And okay, it's kind of garish and stripy, but we can live with that. Um, there's the road uniforms, also kind of yellow. And then for the alternate uniform, I kind of ran out of inspiration and went with this sort of, no contact penny or whatever. Not thrilled with it, but it's also the minor league team, so I'm not going to worry about it too much. So first, I want to go through a few quick rules I'm putting on myself. I don't want to do a thing where you draft a bunch of people and then trade them for picks. I will allow kind of the Vegas-esque arrangement before the draft, and then they kind of take the shape of trading a guy back to his original team to say that, okay, we had an arrangement to take somebody else. For trades, I figure I'll follow the following rules. I can take anything the CPU offers. I can take anything that the trade finder comes up with. If I make my own, I can take that if all the components of it are like green and red. Um, if you sign somebody to a multi-year, I'm going to hold myself to not trading that guy for the first year. I know it happens occasionally in real life, but I'm going to try not to do it. And then just generally, no metagaming. I mean, I got to go off of what my scouts say about rather than what I know from real life or from previous runs. So, not so much rules, but more like sort of stylistic things about how I play. As you know, since I am from Pittsburgh, I tend to overvalue and covet Penguins and ex-Penguins, so I might allow myself to bend the rules just a touch for Penguins. I am going to allow myself to change positions and roles. I think that's part of building a team, and you know, I think that's fair ground. Um, this is more of a neuroses slash pet peeve, but I kind of hate giving those like CPU players at the bottom of the roster reps when they should be going to guys that I'm trying to develop. So I tend to sign a lot of like two-way contracts at the bottom, so that those CPU clone guys don't get too many reps. I almost always sign my first round pick. It just seems like the thing you should do. And if my first round pick's ready to go to the NHL right from the draft, that's the one case where I'll give myself latitude to make a trade to open up a spot. So let's start setting things up. Um, Trivia matter. Ian Baxter is my GM name of choice. Ian's my son. Baxter is my dog, just so you know, if you were curious. I'm going to use default rosters. I do plan on making some custom rosters eventually, but I haven't done it yet. So just to get started and get in the habit of doing this, I just figured I'd get going with what came out of the box. I'm going to put Seattle in the west and move Arizona to the central because that's the most common rumored way it's going to shake out in real life. Um, I don't like Arizona in the central, whatever. Owner mode off. I don't care about hot dog prices. I'm going to leave Fog of War on. I know some people don't like it. I kind of like the challenge of it. And I'm going to turn player morale off just because I find those like meetings with players kind of tedious. Those are probably the major setup things. And so I guess we are ready to start. Does a little bit of clicking. And we should see what we get in the draft in a second here. So, okay, salary cap 81.5, and we are picking 5th in the draft, which that's pretty good. I never like picking first. It feels too easy. And at this point, we are actually going to fast forward ahead to the results of the expansion draft rather than showing a whole bunch of clicking. Defense-wise, I've got kind of a top 4 of Brent Burns, Eric Gustafson, Jared Spurgeon, Calvin DeHaan. Matthias Ekholm's in there, but I'm probably going to trade him back to Nashville. Right wings are a little bit messy. Kasperi Kapanen's decent. Toffoli, then it's kind of weird. Ryan Hartman, Stefan Nosen, kind of iffy. Right wings, we probably need to do some work with that. On the centers, the big problem here is Duchesne and Brassard are both free agents, so it's kind of hit or miss. If they sign, I'm actually pretty happy with these centers. If either of them go free agent, then I all of a sudden have a pretty weak crop of centers, and I'm not sure what I'm going to do. But it's a start. And on left wing, again, Anders Lee is at the top of the depth chart, and he's a free agent, so I'm going to have to sign him. After that, Grabner, Sabatka. Even if I get Lee, I probably want to put in another left wing to kind of raise that depth chart a little. Darren Helm, he's kind of kind of my mascot because he's kind of useful as a utility forward. Among other things, he has like an 85 faceoff, so he's actually pretty good as a stealth center if he ever has to play center. And he's also fast, so I tend to draft Darren Helm even if he's kind of an overpay. My goalies, I didn't really show them. Jacob Markstrom's going to be the starter, and then Eric Comrie and Tristan Jarry are going to be the main backups. I'm not sure who's going to be the backup and who's going to go play every day in AAA, but we'll figure that out. Going to skip over the draft interviews because I'm not sure anyone cares. I am going to point out, though, picking fifth, it looks like I'm in the range of Kirby Doc, Capo Caco, and Bowen Byram. With my situation at center, I mean, Doc might actually be the best pick in terms of help for the team now. I mean, at the same time, elite is better than top six. So how much faith do I have in my scouts, my Canadian scout versus my Europe scout? Okay, so we're gonna start the draft, and we're gonna be already on the clock. And Jack Hughes already got taken number one by Montreal because there was some screwing around with the trade block that I just cut out. And we're gonna start with trying to basically do a Vegas arrangement to send Ekholm back to Nashville in kind of one of those fake version of the pre-draft arrangement. So I take a look at the trade finder and see what Nashville would want for him. And actually, it's a pretty good offer. It's the first round this year and first round next year. And where I am in the development cycle, two number one picks for a defenseman that would otherwise potentially be pushed to the second or third pair. That's not a bad deal. So I think I'm going to go ahead and take that. So goodbye Ekholm. Hello, pick 25 and a first rounder next year. Um, that's kind of an exciting start. So actually, I'm going to go ahead and at least see if any of my other kind of starter caliber defensemen can get me a similar arrangement. Keep in mind, I can only approach the team they originally came from because it's kind of meant to simulate the pre-draft deals that Vegas made. So Spurgeon would be Minnesota, Gustafson would be Chicago. Um, as I'm going through the deals here, it doesn't look like Chicago wants Gustafson, which at 1.2 million, I'd be kind of hard pressed to trade him back anyways. Spurgeon at 5 million, yeah, it's a little easier. So we'll do the same thing again. Okay, sorry, I got really a little bit turned around here. So let's try Brent Burns. I don't think that nope, San Jose does not want to trade to get Brent Burns back at 8 million a year. I can kind of understand that. Gustafson at 1.2. We kind of confirmed this with the trade finder, but Chicago does not want Gustafson back, which at 1.2 I'm happy to keep him. So next up, we will try Spurgeon, 5 million. I'm feeling like Minnesota probably won't want him back, but you never know. And correct, Minnesota does not want him. And I'm even going to go ahead and try Calvin DeHaan at 81 overall. I figure what I get back isn't going to be likely to be good anyways, but as long as I'm doing due diligence or whatever, let's go ahead and try DeHaan as well. Maybe it'll surprise me or something. But nope, Carolina doesn't want DeHaan either. So we are basically 0 for 4 on the other guys, and Ekholm is the only one I can send back to his original team. But that's all right because I got two number ones. So let's go actually make this pick. So again, it's go with the guy who could help me now, which is probably Kirby Doc, or go with the guy with the higher ceiling of Kako or Byram. Those are the choices right now. And I feel like I'm offending the gods by doing it, but I think I'm going to go with Doc. I don't. I mean, I don't think it's as huge of a difference. I mean, I'm not. I mean, I think he's still going to be a good player. He's a big kid. Could slap me in on center, and I am a little exposed at center. I mean, the flip side argument is my right wings aren't anything special either. So, I mean, you could argue I could still get use out of Kako as well. Byram, I'm a little more protected on defense. He'd probably be third pair or maybe even in the minors. But, I mean, you look at Doc, those A's and B's, those are pretty good. You know, but same for Kako. So, Byram's stats are a little, letter grades are a little lower. I think I'm gonna go with Doc. I mean, probably I can. I may look up in 2 or 3 seasons and feel stupid about doing it, but I'm gonna take the guy who can possibly go into the starting lineup now. So knock on wood, and we'll see what happens. And with that, I'm going to take a little look ahead to where I'm going to come out in the 25 range and see what sort of guys we have there. So, we kind of start this early. The CPU does not generally go above central scouting. Later rounds, you might see it start to overdraft, but this early, it's almost locked in on central scouting. So we got Nolan Foote, Kurvinen, Pelletier, Brizgalov. He's elite, but he's a little guy. I mean, 5'9". Shrimpy guys worry me, so I have a tough time with those. I mean, it's a decent group of guys here. There's actually, if I really wanted to work it, there's a bunch of elites here I could actually work down a couple slots and still get somebody decent. But I'm kind of feeling lazy and might just want to do something. I mean, Foote top 9 isn't that great. I mean, 6'3" is nice size, but top 9's kind of blah. So he's probably out of contention. Kurvinen, elite, but he's a grinder. I'm not sure how I feel about that. That's kind of weird. On the other hand, Mike Gartner as a comparison, that's a pretty good comparison. Pelletier, okay, Pelletier's a shrimp, so, I mean, little tiny dude. Not sure I really want little tiny dudes. It was 7th D, that's not happening unless something were to really jump out as being wrong with that scouting profile. 7D is not happening. Again, Brizgalov, another elite, but another shrimpy guy. So, I mean, an elite grinder can still kind of project into a power forward. I've seen, this is start getting into metagaming, but I've seen elite grinders actually end up with trade value to other teams. So, leaning towards the grinder guy, big husky guy. Okay, now Pelletier and Foote are both gone. So that, I mean, not that Foote was in serious contention, but Pelletier is off the board anyways. So I guess I'll have to. I guess I'll have to go ahead and make a decision, and I think it's gonna be Kurvinen. That Mike Gartner thing kind of swayed me. I mean, yeah, grinder, but hard wrist shot, goal scoring. Big kid. There's a lot to like here. It's even if grinder doesn't leap out as the sort of thing you'd want to sign, and he's elite. And what little scouting I have says he's elite medium, but let's go ahead and do it. So now I'm not really looking to trade this draft. I'm kind of looking to just get bodies. Oh, on the other hand, people are looking to trade with me. So let's see, trade down in the second to pick up a third. that's not bad. I mean, I definitely could use more bodies, but moving that many picks, that's like what, 15, 20 spots. And a high second versus a low second is almost the difference between a guy who's going to be starting next year versus going to be starting in 3 years. So, I mean, I kind of, it's a fair offer, but I think I'm going to decline. I don't think a third is going to kind of juice me enough to really move. So, tempting, but I'm going to pass, I think. But thank you for your offer, Carolina. It's very sweet of you. So now we're going to look a little bit at what we might be. Okay, here's what we might be picking at 35. Um, got a couple elites here. You got a left wing, decent kid, playmaker, speed, hard shot. Gaborik's a nice compare, and Latipov. Uh, at quick glance, when I first scrolled past him, I saw that he was kind of a small guy. So I don't think I'm gonna. Oh, no, I can't actually do the pick here. I have to actually go back out and make pick. Sorry, forgot which window it was on. But I think it's gonna be Tracy. I think that Latipov guy is a little tiny, and also I did just take a center number one. So Brendan Tracy it is. All right. Let's move on to round three. Round three on the board. Let's see what we're looking at. And we've got an elite, big 6'4" corn-fed mule of a kid, but also again a grinder. An elite goalie. I'm not sure if I want to be going a goalie this high. I mean, goalie isn't a huge need, so I guess I'll go with Barlage. That's a decent hockey name, Barlage. Okay, we're into round four now. So we got another. Oof, that guy was 6'6", even bigger. But how many big centers do I really need? Meanwhile, I actually get a chance to take a defenseman, an offensive defenseman, elite low. That's Gianni Fairbrother versus a big corn-fed mule who would be like my third center and like fourth forward of the draft. I think I got to go with the defenseman, even if he's maybe a little lower ceiling. I got to feel like I got to put one guy on the blue line here. Off to the fifth round we go. Carolina's back. At this time, since we're just fifth and lower, you're basically looking for lottery tickets. So 2 lottery tickets is better than 1 lottery ticket. So I'm going to go ahead and say yes to this deal. So yay. And okay, now we're picking a little bit lower, but whatever. These scratch offs. Okay, looks like we're gonna have to go digging a little since the first bunch of people is all AHL types. Oops, clicked on the wrong-ish guy. Well, top six. Sorry, I clicked on the wrong guy. I meant to click on Sunsvik. Albin Sunsvik. He's a center. More of a styly playmaker guy than a big corn-fed mule, but he's let's go with him. He's the only good guy in this range. So I think that the pick from Carolina. I think so. So this is now going to be my own pick at the top of the sixth round. Sorry. At this one, boy, it's starting to look a little bleak, isn't it? There's always Luke Wilson. Love his movies, I guess. I don't know. It's top. Yeah, this is another top 4D. That's not terrible, but a lot of bottom barrel scraping. Oh, there's a goalie who's a starter. That's even if the tiebreaker's the name, I think Luke Wilson's the way to go. Yeah, what the heck. So let's head on keeping on into the seventh round. Oh, Colorado's back this time, and they want the pick that the sixth that Carolina gave us, and they're willing to give us a seven and a seven next year. That's again, at this point, more lottery tickets is better when you're talking this low in the draft. So that goalie I briefly looked at last time, Kavasha, he's actually now at the top of the queue. He's a starter. He's kind of a small goalie, I guess, at 5'11", but he's showing as a starter. Ooh, but hey, wait, we got a elite goalie a little lower, Turakov. I mean, you're gonna make your bed with random goalies with gray scouting. You might as well go with the guy who scouts elite rather than the guy who scouts starter. I mean, you know, it is what it is. So I guess we're going with Turakov. Fast forward to what should be our final pick. This being the one from Colorado. And we've got, let's see, a elite right wing, but kind of a tiny one in a sea of mediocrity. Trevor Peacock. Okay, then. Well, I don't have a right wing this draft, so I guess he's the guy to go with. Kind of. So, and then we finish up. And there is my first draft class with the Seattle Dragons. Kind of neat that it's 5, 25, and 35 at the top there. Should have tried to make a trade for pick 15, I guess. That would have been kind of interesting. But, yeah, we'll see if any of those guys turn into anything. Now we turn to our re-sign period of free agency. Now, with an expansion team, the decisions here are pretty easy, but the ones we do have are pretty consequential because basically we have two of our centers, Duchesne and Brassard, and our top left wing, Anders Lee, who are all unrestricted free agents. And if they walk, our team starts looking funky. So we're pretty much going to just have to re-sign them, throw basically whatever they want at them. So Duchesne, I'm going to give him what he wants. Lee, I mean, these are basically our stars. Lee, I'm going to give him what he wants. I mean, they're also 27, 28 years old, so these are decent contracts. Now, Brassard's a little bit of a tougher call because, he's looking for a lot of, for his age and his overall 4.3 mil, 4 years. That's kind of brutal. So I think I'm going to try to lowball him a little bit. And if he resigns, cool. If that pisses him off and he leaves, I guess we'll deal with that. But so I'm going to go down to 4.3. I'm going to go down to 2 years. So I mean, hopefully that'll, if he takes it, excellent. If he doesn't, well, oh well. In the meantime, let's look at our RFAs. Comrie, he's going to probably be our backup goalie. Right now, I'm going to qualify everyone. And then after I see what the UFAs do, I'll probably sign some or all of these guys to real contracts. But just to get started, so I don't forget to do it later, I usually go through and qualify just about everybody. I mean, unless I really pretty much know they're gone. Certainly in the first year of an expansion, you pretty much keep everyone around. So, okay, everyone's qualified, and it's basic bookkeeping, yay. So, let's see what happens with the first day of negotiation. Get a little drum roll going. And Brassard rejects. So, okay. Do I want to go for a round 2 with him? We'll have to think about that. Because 82 overall. Ugh. Oh, Duchesne, excellent. Cool, he resigns. There's our number 1 center. We are in business. Oh, and our probable number one left wing. So we got two of our three, and arguably the most important ones. I mean, Brassard's decent, but if I had to let him walk, I think we'd somehow be all right. So now we need to decide about another go around with Brassard, and then we start locking down some of these RFAs. So I mean, you know, right now we also have Doc, who's the wild card in all of this. Do we necessarily want to count on him being ready to start, or do we want to, kind of ish? I mean, or we also got Kairu we could plug in there if we had to, but we might want to take another run at Brassard. I mean, he is, he's a dependable veteran guy. If we get him on a short deal, now looking at left wing, Lee, Sabatka, Grabner, Helm. I mean, I want to push that whole stack down one because I kind of want Helm to be my utility forward and Jones in the minors. Right wing, Toffoli and Kapanen, kind of 1 and 2. Hartman and Nosen, 3 and 4. Again, it might be nice to add one more body there. I mean, those aren't great names, but they'll get the job done. Defense, we kind of got the top four, Burns, Gustafson, Spurgeon. I kind of view DeHaan as a little higher than the young guys, but, overalls are about the same. All right, so decision time. Brassard. Thinking about this. I'm just going to try for a 1 year deal here, but I'm going to go high on money. I'm going to try to blow him out for 1 year, push the decision down the road, then maybe Doc will be ready next year and he can walk. So, expansion team, you tend to have a little extra money in year one. So I think that's probably the way to go. Kapanen, 3.5. It's a little steep, but, he's a decent player. He's got speed. He scores. I'll offer him what he wants. Okay, 1.25 is completely reasonable. That's fine. Honka, 1.5. It's okay. As if he develops, it's great. If not, it's a little bit of an overpay. Again, Makashin, about the same. It's like 1.8. Even if he's second or third pair, that's cool. But if he ends up on your minors, 1.8 is kind of steep for that. Hartman at 1.5, sure. Nosen, oh yeah, hell yeah, two-way contract, 900,000. Yeah, you sign that in a heartbeat. I mean, and Comrie wants about $1 million for your backup goaltender. Again, yeah, you pay that. So I mean, these are all, Kapanen reasonable but expensive. Everyone, the two middle defenders, Makashin and I'm drawing a blank. Those guys are a little steep but not truly painful, and then the rest of them were pretty easy signs. So, all right, I guess that's what we're going with. Oh, and while we're here, I'm going to go ahead and offer Doc his entry level contract. Doesn't necessarily mean he might not go back to juniors, but I'd like to do it as kind of in a sort of reality sense of generate excitement for the fans and show some respect to the number one pick in the franchise history or whatever. We're going to sign him. All right, Bennett signs. Brassard rejects again. All right. We'll have to think about what to do about that. I'm leaning towards just letting him walk or Honka sign. Oh, Honka was the other one. Makashin. Those are the two sort of expensive defensemen. Nosen resigns. Hartman resigns. Kapanen signs. Comrie signs. Sign. Everyone signs. So other than Brassard, we basically swept the field. So now I think what we want to do is quick look at the centers and free agency and see what the other options are. All right. Now Pavelski, I don't think we would blow the bank on him. Thornton, I guess he's a possibility, but he's kind of old. But then that makes Brassard the third best free agent center. Belmar, Cullen, it starts to get pretty bleak. As long as we're looking at free agents, Panarin, probably too expensive. Johansson, Zuccarello, Nyquist, and then the drop off. It always seems like a drop off in the first year of an expansion roster, just because you're adding a roster full of people, so the free agent pool takes a while to recover. Dude, a lot of decent goalies though. I mean, there's at least 4 or 5 starting caliber goalies. I mean, actually 6 or 7. Now that I see British and Smith. I mean, that's yeah, that's you can get goalies this draft or this signing period. So, I mean, I have about 13 million in cap space, so I'm gonna be in on somebody. I probably need at least one forward at each spot. If I don't, if I particularly if I don't sign Brassard, so that's kind of the thinking, and then just some depth signings, which will most likely all be two-way contracts. But that's so I probably don't want to go big on any of the big first top tier guys. So I probably want to go in on like second level guys, which now of course means we have to come up with a final decision on Brassard as the last remaining guy on deck. I mean, he's the number 3 center. I mean, I don't know. I guess I'm leaning towards taking my chances and letting him walk. Between having Doc as insurance, Kyrie's there if I had to. I mean, I could get some scrubby center if I had to. There are options. So, yeah, I'm gonna let Brassard go to free agency and see what happens. So, okay, trade whatever contract. Yeah. We're not near our limit yet, but let's get this started. Full actual free agency, day one, July 1st. So, just as a brief reminder, we're pretty much looking for one guy at each of the 3 forward positions. At least that's the thinking going in. I don't really need any defensemen, and then some depth signings, bargain hunting, all that usual stuff. Centers. Well, I mean, you got 2 RFAs leading the way. Thornton, I guess. Ooh, it looks like Pavelski must have re-signed. That now leaves Thornton as the top free agent. Okay, left wing, you got Panarin, Johansson, Zingle, Furlan, Donskoy, and then it starts dropping off. I mean, budget-wise, I'm probably looking at that Johansson or Zingle. Right wing, Zuccarello, Nyquist, Simmons, and Williams are both kind of old. Panic, he's kind of a budget pick. He wouldn't really, yeah, he'd make the bottom a little better. He wouldn't make the top better. Defenseman, I mean, would I be looking for a bargain here? I mean, again, I'm not going to go in for another $5 million for a defenseman, but probably hunt for bargains here. And look at some of these young guys with high potential, maybe. See if there's anybody like that. Okay, camera. Stats don't look like much. If you look at left wing, Perron. He's an RFA, but he's got some nice stats. He's got some speed. He might be worth. I mean, I wouldn't want to blow my budget or lose a pick on him, but he might be worth looking at. Scrolling down. Young guys. Young right wings. Any young right wings with potential? I mean, nobody on the first page. We're already dipping down into top 6 on right wings. And defensemen. You got a couple 23-year-old. I mean, Snuggerud. He's youngish. Goalies. Stallers, 25. Cal Peterson, 24. I mean, Husso, a couple other guys like that. There's no, perfect, wonderful rookie here, but there's a couple sort of interesting guys that might pick up a body just to create some competition. Okay, Paul Cotter claims to be a 26 or top six forward at 19, at age 19. That might be worth looking at. But again, not a lot of. I mean, nobody who's jumping out and saying, "Yeah, I gotta come get that guy." So, I mean, sitting here poking the pool with a stick, but at some point, I suppose I gotta actually, sign some guys. So, Thornton maybe Brassard, maybe take another look at Brass. You know what? I'm gonna try Brassard again now that he's on the market. I mean, we will start a little lower, start at an even 4 mil, start at 2 years, just see what happens. I mean, I don't. That's actually, ironically, that's probably lower than what I offered him when I had the exclusive period. Johansson, drop him down to the even 5 mil, but give him his years. Try to start with that. Right way, I'm going to go a little cheap and save some money here. I think I'm going to go with Richard. Well, we looked at Zuccarello first. He's good, but he's going to be the pricey one. I always like Nyquist in general. He's got a good hard shot. He's fast. He's got good leadership for the chemistry side of things. Panic, also kind of fast. He come a little cheaper. There's a couple options here. So I think it's gonna be Panic. I think I'm gonna try to bring up the bottom rather than the top on this one, and try to save a little bit of money. Because if you do 4 million for Brassard and 5 million for Johansson, that's 9 out of 13 million, and then another. And granted, some of that rolls off if you send down whatever. You know how it works. Luke Snuggerud. This is like the closest thing to a sort of prospecty defenseman I could find. He's still not great, but I'll throw him a contract because they need some bodies in the minors. So let's give Snuggerud, and the name rolls off the tongue. Snuggerud. Pionk. He's an RFA already, so he's kind of interesting, but I'm not sure I want to start giving up picks for him. That Cotter kid, whatever, prospecty. It's one of the things you got to do with an expansion team is kind of like build the minor league system you don't have. Karlstrom, also a young guy, but his stats don't really look like he's going to amount to much, even if he's only 21. So nothing here jumping out as amazing. I'll go down the left wingers now. I liked that Perron kid. I think I will probably try to throw him an offer, but one that does not mess with giving San Jose a pick. He's got decent sort of skill numbers. Okay, he's asking for a two-way deal. A lot of times this doesn't work out, and they re-sign him anyways. But sometimes it's fun to antagonize other teams and suck up their money a little bit. So let's go do that. There is a second round of guys that I'll be looking at more in terms of just warm bodies, but this is kind of like guys who might actually be intriguing prospecty types. Rondberg, 20 years old, decent size. He's only a 63 overall, but just to get a couple, again, get some warm bodies in the system. Dahlstrom, 22 years old. No, I'm going to skip him. Let's go with, all right. Let's take a quick look at goalies. One more run through the goalies. There's a lot of guys that are just basically, I kind of sort of need a backup for the minor leagues team, or at least create some competition down there. It's not urgent. I don't see anybody who's really like, yeah, I gotta get this guy, But I might bring in a guy just to have somebody. Ville Huso or Husso or however that's pronounced. I think I'm going to give him a shot just to, as another young guy to throw on the fire and see who can kind of come out on top. And if we look at what we've got at this point, there's our list of targets so far for 7 guys, but really only 3 or 8 guys if you want to count Huso, but still only 3 real players and then 5 kind of project guys. So we'll start advancing the calendar and see where it takes us. And okay, an offer on Tristan Jarry, a 3rd and a 5th. Interesting. I mean, I'm not necessarily thinking about trading him, but alright, Perron decided to accept, but he has to wait. Those 2, Cotter and Ronberger, in the fold. Another offer from Jarry on Detroit, 2/3, but 2/3 in 2021. So I do have a little bit of an idea here, just to play around. I might want to see if I can solve my center problem. Just one of the guys I've always liked is Andreas Athanasiou, or however you pronounce that. He seems like a good, decent, semi-young guy with some room to grow. So let me put him in there, and I'd have to throw something else in on top of Jarry to even get them to think about the deal. So I'm going to shelve that for now. I'm not saying I might not come back later, but possibly. Oh, Johansson and Brassard and Panic. Okay, I got all, and Huso. I got, and Stuggerud. It's a clean sweep. I got all my guys. And now I'm slightly left with, in a confusing state of not knowing what to do. I'm used to having more rejections than that. But, so, now my center depth chart is back to what it was before. Duchesne, Brassard, Bennett, Cirilli. Now Lee, Johansson, Sabatka, Grabner with Helm as a depth guy. Kapanen, Toffoli, Panic, and Hartman on right wing. Nosen moves to the depth position. Still not crazy about that, but I guess it's you can go to work with that, even if it's not particularly sexy. Defense, Burns, Gustin, Spurgeon, McCoshen, Jones, DeHaan, and then I'd probably bring up Borowicki as my 7th defenseman. I like having a veteran 7th who doesn't really get hurt by not playing a whole lot, and I kind of drafted him with that in mind. Markstrom and Comrie are going to be the goalies. Down in the minors, we got Jarry, Lindgren, and Huso, and the rookie Turkov as goaltenders. Sorry, I hit the wrong button and went backwards. So in minors, we've only got 2 centers, well, 2.5 if you count Doc. We only got 1 left wing, Max Jones. 2 right wings, Senyshyn and Rondberg. And 4 defensemen if you take out Borowicki. So I'm going to need to add some bodies in the minors at the very least. So back to the free agency. Now this time we're going to be looking for more like functional minor league talent. You're looking at guys like, rather than 20 to 22, we're looking at guys in the 23, 24 range. Overall, we're looking for guys in the high 60s, low 70s overall. So it's like not quite prospects, but guys who will be able to get some production out of the prospects as we put prospects in with them. So LaPlante here, he's kind of roughly the template of what I'm going for. All these guys are really looking at 2-way deals, so they don't hit the salary cap. Quine, he's a little bit older than what I've typically looked for, but I kind of like having some veteran presence, quote unquote veteran presence to go with. I don't want it to be all kids. Left wings, C.J. Smith, he's actually 78 overall. If that scouting were to hold up, he'd actually arguably be too good for the minors, but he's a possibility. keep looking though. I mean, bottom six. We're getting into bottom six, so let's move back up a little bit. Tim Soderlund, 58 overall is a little low. Ikonen, on the other hand, 69 overall. Yeah, he's in the sweet spot. So Ikonen, another one, Kalle Kosala. He's also kind of in that sweet spot of sort of young, sort of prospecty, but it wouldn't be earth-shattering if he doesn't come through for us. On the right wing, Abe Kubel. He's a RFA, but he's kind of in that same zone. So let's throw him an RFA type of offer that won't cost us the pick. Fashing also in that ballpark. But let me see what else we got. Bo Bennett's been a favorite from other franchises I've done. Taylor, he's a top 4 potential if my scouts are realistic. I don't really know that I believe it. I mean, if he's 25 years old and he's only 68, that's probably not really a top 4 defenseman, but we'll give him an offer. Shore up the minors. Hogberg, not all that exciting. 20 years old, but he's not all that exciting. Keaton Thompson, I kind of remember him from a previous franchise, but I don't remember what or even if I liked about him. Tevis, he's got some speed, possibly. Boraman, nah. Geertsen, kind of slow, defensive, plotting guy, nah. Bayreuther, possibly. I mean, somewhere in here there's going to be a couple guys. It's just picking the couple that feel right. But let's actually maybe advance a couple days with the ones we signed. Another offer on Jari. At some point, do I need to consider seeing what I could get for him? Especially now that I have 3 goalies in the minors, maybe it's worth doing. But again, he's a Penguin. I lost Perron back to the Sharks. I mean, it was a weak offer. It wasn't really going to go that well. Ikonen, LaPlante, Taylor. There's 3 bodies for the minors. Jari again. We keep on getting offers on him. Now we're up to July 9th. And how's the world of... Okay, Quine, Kosala, Abe, Kubo are the 3 that are still outstanding. So, just to track where we are. I think we're about $4 million in cap space still at this point. Quine signs. Abe Kubel does not. And Kosala signs. Okay, so... And hits keep coming. Interesting. I do have the beginnings of an idea of maybe I should do check. See, I'm starting to think maybe I should at least float Jari's name on the trade finder and see if anyone offers me an upgrade at particularly right wing, where everyone's kind of in that same 81, 82 overall area. I mean, that's a possibility. I might want to consider that. In fact, I think that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to get Mr. Tristan Jarry. As soon as I can stop fat fingering things. Put them in the finder. Search for offers. 24 offers. Wow. Okay, there are Calvert, bottom 6, forward, not really that exciting. Cassian top 9, but still not that exciting. And a lot of 2-pick offers. Komarov, again, not necessarily a distinct upgrade on what I've got already. I mean, I'd be looking for a guy who would be a distinct upgrade. I'm not seeing that so far. I mean, Juice, kind of like Juice in real life. Peralt, I mean, okay, nothing's jumping out and saying, yeah, make that deal. I mean, So let's take another quick look at where we are in all this. Centers, yeah. Left wingers, yeah. See, I like, yeah, centers and left wingers are about where it is. This is what I still don't like. 82, 82, 81, 79, 78. I wish I had someone a little better. I might want to take that last 4 million and actually it's almost 5 million and do something with it. Defense is, it's acceptable. I mean, it's not earth. I mean, I got a good top pair. It's the bottom's a little bit weak, but the bottom is also young guys who could get better, so can't really complain. It's a functional defense. I mean, the danger there is Gustafson's going to get paid next year. Goalies are fine. Markstrom and okay. Now let's kind of go over the bodies again. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 defensemen if you take out Borowiecki. So we still need a couple more bodies on defense because Borowiecki's going to go up and be the veteran seventh that I like to have. So that would. And I don't think Fairbrother's going to come along enough to actually be. Okay, we're still at 2 right wings. Left wings we're up to 3. Kossela, Ikonen, and Jones. So that's shaping up. And we actually have 4 centers. So we should have all of our centers staffed. And I know that, the CPU does weird things and it doesn't always stay neat and tidy. But, you got to start somewhere. So, back to the drawing board. I think we may actually, well, he's not what we need, but I've always Anders Johnson is one of those guys that's always been a little, Andreas Johnson, he's always been kind of a little intriguing. He's simmed well, at the risk of metagaming, he's simmed well in other leagues, but he's an RFA, so I'd have to give, and what he's asking would be like my 2nd round pick, I think. So I'm not sure I want to give up a 2nd rounder to get a guy at the wrong position. So back to 2-way contracts for a little bit while we think over what to do about all of this. So I needed at least one more left wing, if I remember correctly. And that's C.J. Smith kid. He was like 78 over. Granted, my scouting may not be perfect but 78 overall. Even if that sinks. Now, full disclosure, this was me being a bonehead and not sorting the list right and getting that underedge Mattis. I just, smoking crack or something. I don't know why I signed him, and I think I thought he was higher in the list because I had the list sorted wrong. But whatever. One roster spot given to a guy I don't really know. And I'll cut next year if he sucks. Whatever. Things happen. What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. I don't know. Back to live action. Right wings, we were looking at Fashing earlier. Barber might be interesting. Iacopelli, again, though he's an RFA, he might be interesting, but 25 is getting a little old to be a prospect, though. So, but you know what? Whatever. He can be kind of, where we need several right wings at this point, so let's grab him. Fashing, we'll go grab him. Hudson Fashing. So there's 2 more right wings, and we needed a couple more defensemen, too. So, Bayreuther was a possibility. Tevis had speed. Keaton Thompson was a guy. Fitzgerald, slow as dirt. Never mind. I don't know. There's a couple. Bayreuther is looking pretty good. He seems like somebody who could help. So we'll throw him into the list. So it's another little crop of RFA types. Or not RFAs, but just like 2-way contract guys. So let's advance the date a couple days and see what happens. Yut-the-do, yut-the-do. Bayreuth or Mattis? Yeah, Mattis, okay. Watch, he'll probably turn out to be. Okay, Acapelli went back to the Kings. Smith and Fashing signed, though, so we're starting to fill out our ranks. Take another quick look. And yes, I realize I'm probably taking too many quick looks. I need to stop doing that. Some of that's that it's the first year, though, and the roster's a little more fluid. I mean, in future years, I'll have a better sense of what I need. So, okay, so we're up to 3 right wings now. Left wing looks like it's fully stocked at this point. Center looks like it's also fully stocked. So maybe one more right wing and maybe another defenseman. You know, we're getting close on the bottom end of the roster. If there's one thing that's still nagging at me, though, it's that right wing situation. Do I want to go in on, you know, Nyquist or Simmons? Or the other thing that kind of pisses me off or frustrates me is Panarin sitting out there with no bids on him. And oh, geez, you know, it's one of those things where you hate to see it. You hate to see a player his caliber just not getting, you know, flying by the boards and not getting taken. So, don't know. I mean, at the same time, I don't want to upset the whole apple cart trying to get a guy. So, but I think I'm going to go in on Nyquist. Nyquist's been sitting there. No one's offering on him. He's not great, but he's an improvement over anyone else I've got. So I'm going to start with a little bit of a low ball offer, but one that I can fit under my cap. If he's got no offers, maybe he'll bite on it. I mean, it's worth a shot, I guess. Let's see. No, he did not like that at all. Okay. That probably was not a good idea. But, so, regroup. The question here is, do I get back in on Nyquist, who just rejected? Do I go cheaper? But Simmons is old and slow. I don't know what he really gets me. Same with Williams. It's like, do I want to go with a 37-year-old guy who's another? I mean, he's another 82. So is Simmons. That it's another side. It's throwing $4 million at a sideways move. In the meantime, just look at those last couple 2 ways. I don't know why, but Peary's one of those guys that always seems to burn me when I play against him, so I'm going to grab him. Tyler Ennis, you know, he's a decent player. I'm always from 19 in 19 he had a huge contract, and I always kind of turned me off because of the huge contract. But here in 20, you know, for a 2-way contract, why not? I mean, so let's try to bring him on board. You know, let's just be silly and look for someone who's fast. And so, Gregory Hoffman, theoretically a 94 speed, so let's grab him. And Kanga Sniemi, 90 speed, but everything else about him kind of sucks. And he's a grinder, a fast grinder. I don't even know what that is. So, and I can't pronounce his name very well, so I'm going to lay off a Kanga Sniemi for now. And no one else is really on the speed, you know, on the speed tip is really. But I'm going to get that Hoffman kid. He's fast. Even if he's not at 94, he could be, you know, I like having a couple guys who can skate fast. I'm weird that way. And if I get those guys, that ties up all my right wing spots in the minors. And now we are back to the final question of what I want to do with that last 4.79 million. And editor's note, there's about a 3-minute diversion here where I try to clear salary cap for Panarin. I actually cut it from the video because it didn't go anywhere and it was kind of boring. Basically, it was me checking the trade finder and seeing if I could find any sort of trade, and all of them were anytime I tried to move somebody, salary came back. So I thought about it, and I played around with the trade finder, and it just didn't happen. So, I ended up settling on I'm just going to lowball Panarin and just see if he happens to go for a ridiculously low contract. So, yay. And let's advance a day. And as I'm advancing a day, okay, Ennis goes somewhere else, but Peary signs. And now here we are on the 19th. Haven't heard back from Panarin. But I am starting to feel like, let's. So I need to replace Ennis, kinda. Cause that Hoffman guy wasn't very good. He was fast, but nothing else about him stood out. So if I lost Ennis, I kind of need to replace that body. And I remember looking at Barber earlier. He has some speed. He's a decent player for the minors, for the AHL. So I'll grab him as the replacement. So again, not great, but keeps it'll keep the cupboard full down in Tacoma. So Ennis replacement chosen. Panarin still hasn't responded. On the other hand, hey, Hoffman signed, so we're looking good there. So that'll be good. Now, I'm starting to feel like Panarin's probably not happening, so I think I'm going to get back in on Nyquist one more time. I don't know what happens if they both sign. I have to figure, if I run out of cap or something else blows up or what happens. But you know what? Cross that bridge if we come to it. So we'll go with a 1-year deal for Nyquist. Just try to kick that can down the road and see what happens with it. So, go. And we'll advance. And there's an official rejection from Panarin. Huzzah. Barber, on the other hand, signs. So another offer on Jerry. And Nyquist signs. Woohoo! So we have a full team now. Let's take a quick look at what we ended up with. All right, there's Duchesne, Brassard, Bennett, Cirelli, Lee, Johansson, Sabatka, Grabner, Helm, Nyquist, Kapanen, Toffoli, Panik, and Hartman. We're going to bring up a defenseman from the minors to fill that out. Probably two, actually, but there's our defense, and there's our goalies. Yeah, we know. One more look. Jones and Borowiecki probably go up. That leaves at least 6 and probably a 7th defenseman that we're not looking at. That's 5 right wings and 4 left wings and 4 centers. So we have, and 4.5 if you count Doc. So I mean, we've basically got all of our bases covered. So huzzah, we have ourselves something close to a full roster. So at this point, we're going to go ahead and sim to the end of free agency and get into next season. And we are in the next season, and that is where we will end and pick it up next time.